charming girl peers out the window of a carriage that's in motion, fascinated by the view of the ancient royal capital, which has a completely different feel compared to Manhwa. He is with an older man who calls her Princess Alicia, reminding her that a future Queen of Windsor should always be dignified. She sits down and says sorry to the old man, who is Chancellor Richard. He scolds her, insisting that she must behave in a way that doesn't disgrace Princess Kara's name, which annoys Princess Alicia, particularly because her family is being held captive. She looks out and sees a gigantic castle that seems haunted, surrounded by crows. This is the castle of the ruthless Demon King, and fear washes over her. Clenching her fist, she vows to do everything she can to survive. Inside the castle, a horrifying scream from a man echoes through the hall as guards hold him down. A man named Wilfred, holding a sword, stands before the man who kept asking Wilfred why he did it. He even officially named Wilfred as his brother and promoted him to general, asking Wilfred if he had forgotten that debt. Wilfred, the man with black hair and half of his face masked, tells him that what he received is not a debt, as they only used him when it was convenient, treating him as a tool to boost national prestige. The man being pinned down appears to be the king. The king admits that there was that aspect, but argues that if he hadn't elevated Wilfred, he would still be confined in a remote place. Wilfred sighs and smirks, and thinking back to when the gears of fate went off track, as he raises his sword, ready to strike at any moment. Yet, the king insists that even if they are only half-brothers, they are still brothers, and he asks Wilfred if he truly plans to kill him. Wilfred didn't think twice, and replied that he would. The king begged him to spare his life, that he will give up the throne, and he doesn't want to die. He continued to plead for his life as Wilfred glared at him with contempt and swung his sword, severing the king's head. With blood on his face and clothes, Wilfred thought this could have been avoided if his half-brother had been a better king. As blood dripped from his sword, a man who seemed to be his aide congratulated him and politely urged Wilfred to take his place on the throne, for he is now the new king of Windsor. Wilfred walked over to the throne and took a seat, pondering the cruel twist of fate. His family, comrades, everything dear to him, it all slips through his fingers as he looked at his blood-soaked hands. His thoughts were interrupted when someone called to him. Wilfred called Cedric and asked him what he wants. Cedric informed him that Princess Alicia was expected to arrive soon. Wilfred rose from the throne to welcome his bride, with Cedric following closely behind. A few nobles within the castle were gossiping about how Wilfred stripped the Marquis of Sussex his title and property, even if the Marquis was a loyal retainer who protected the borders since the founding, and that even loyal vassals aren't sparred if they oppose Wilfred. As Wilfred and Cedric walked past the gossiping nobles, they chose to ignore them. Cedric urged Wilfred to be kind to the princess, and Wilfred planned to do so, because these days no women are even approaching Wilfred. Cedric also wanted him to stop using sharp words that could hurt, a habit that Wilfred was known for. Wilfred explained that he never means to hurt anyone, but somehow the people around him end up crying. Cedric told him that a woman's heart is a delicate thing, and the basic rule is to avoid hitting the core and to wrap your word in layers of gentleness, and advise that when she talks, even if it seems unimportant, just nod and show you care. Wilfred finds this insincere, but Cedric told him that in romantic situations, being too sincere can actually be harmful. He added that men and women perceive kindness differently, and Wilfred thinks that's a daring opinion. Cedric kept teaching Wilfred. He said that 9 out of 10 women would feel upset if a man was as honest as Wilfred thinks he should be. Wilfred had no idea about this, but Cedric explained that women don't really want advice, they just want simple words of affirmation. This made Wilfred think and wonder if they are just genuine fools, which caused Cedric to lose his cool. But Wilfred finds it hard to believe that all women in the world are like that, and it might be tough to accept. Cedric agreed that there are smart women too, but when it comes to the relationship between him and women, things seem to change. Wilfred also heard that love makes people foolish. Cedric explained that's not exactly what he meant, and it's more about the delicate nature of male-female relationships. He reminded Wilfred to be gentle with the princess and treat her like fragile porcelain. Wilfred agreed that he would try his best. After all, their alliance with Ba is crucial, and Cedric has faith in him. Wilfred looked at Cedric. He can't really blame him for how Cedric feels, because he probably lacks something important as a person. Ever since he was a kid, he was always direct and harsh towards others. He doesn't know what exactly is missing, but if he had to guess, maybe it's a human heart. That might be why he can make calm and rational decisions, even during the war 3 years ago. Thanks to that trait, he was able to protect the land with his troops. Now, all he can do is feel sorry for his bride as he wonders if someone like him can truly be with someone, or if he can even build a good relationship or make his bride happy. Until he can fill this emptiness, those thoughts won't come true, and somehow that thought felt certain. Wilfred and Cedric arrived outside to see a line of soldiers on the path, and a carriage where Princess Alicia is on the other side looking at him, wondering if he was the man she was meant to marry. Chancellor Richard had informed her that the person standing there was Wilfred Ivan Windsor, the King of Windsor. Wilfred stared straight at the carriage, leaving Alicia in shock. She felt scared by his intense gaze. Just a month ago, she was an ordinary girl. But then the king summoned her and told her she was going to Windsor. He told her she was a true princess by blood, shared that her mom used to work as a maid for the queen consort, and when the queen discovered the affair, she threw her mom out. His daughters didn't want to marry the demon king, and he recalled that he has a child with the maid, who is Alicia. Alicia tried to say no, but the king told her that she couldn't refuse and threatened her about her family, asking if she cared about them. Alicia felt terrified and thought about her family, and that day Alicia can't say anything at all. Back at the Windsor Castle, Wilfred begins to walk towards the carriage where Alicia is, and he has a really scary vibe. She felt like he would hurt her for even the smallest mistake. She looked really scared as she sat down, and if she could run away, she would do it right then. But she promised to protect her siblings and swore at her mother's grave that as long as she is alive, she will reunite with her family and that she will not die in her father's place. She gathered her courage and tried to get out of the carriage as Wilfred approached with his threatening presence. Alicia told the Chancellor that she needed time to prepare herself, but he pushed her, causing her to lose her balance. This shocked her because she was about to fall, so she closed her eyes, bracing for the impact. But when she opened her eyes, she saw Wilfred with his arms wide open, trying to catch her as she fell. Unfortunately, her elbow hit Wilfred's head, surprising Cedric and the other soldiers, even Wilfred himself. Wilfred fell to the ground because of the sudden impact. Alicia couldn't believe what just happened. She was left speechless and in shock. Wilfred is still holding his head, and Alicia knelt down to ask him if he was okay. She apologized and explained that it wasn't her intention for this to happen. Now she's overthinking everything, feeling like her life is ruined. She wants to die and start fresh as panic sets in. Cedric and the other soldiers ran to Wilfred, asking if he was hurt and if they should call a doctor. But Wilfred told them not to make a scene. He said he just tripped because of the heat and that it wasn't serious as he stood up. Wilfred looked at Alicia and asked if she was hurt anywhere. But Alicia felt like her soul had left her body because the look Wilfred was giving her felt like a grim reaper staring at her. She remembered a childhood moment when she was with her mom and their carriage was stopped by a group of scary men. Her mom told them that she would pay them if they let them go. But the scary man looked at them and judged her mom and her clothes, claiming that they looked like they didn't have much. He thought selling them would get him more money as the man grabbed her mom's arm. They tried to fight back and shouted for help. But the scary man said no one was coming for them. Her mom realized that the guards with them were already dead, and the man told them that both of them belongs to them. He grabbed her hands and lifted her up while her mother pleaded with him to stop hurting her child. She cried out for help as the man lifted her using her one arm. He slapped her and he told her to be quiet, but that only made her cry even louder. She couldn't stop crying because of the pain on her cheeks. The man got annoyed and said it was time for her punishment, promising to keep hitting her until she stopped crying, making sure her body would remember it. Her mom looked terrified at the man as he raised his hand to hit Alicia again, when suddenly they heard groans from other people. Alicia looked over and saw a man in a black coat, and it was Wilfred when he was still young. He told them that he heard a commotion, and here he found bandits. The bandits got furious at him for hurting their comrades and charged at him, but he easily dodged them and sliced them down. The other bandits attacked him too, but he killed each one without breaking a sweat. The man holding Alicia couldn't believe what he was witnessing. He was shocked that the young man had no feelings at all, and he's treating killing as a chore. Wilfred walks up to the carriage, but the bandit warned him not to get any closer and to drop his sword, or he would kill young Alicia if he did. However, young Wilfred didn't stop, and asking why would he throw away his sword for someone he didn't even know. Wilfred pointed his sword at the bandit, saying that he wasn't afraid of him. Young Alicia shook with fear as Wilfred raised his sword, making them regret all they want in hell, while young Alicia fainted thinking that she saw a reaper. Back in the present, they asked her if she was all right. She told them she was fine, as fit as a fiddle, and that there was nothing wrong at all while dusting off her clothes. Then, out of nowhere, the Chancellor made her bow her head and apologized to Wilfred, saying that the princess had acted inappropriately even though the Chancellor was the one who pushed her without other people knowing. Wilfred believed it was just a minor accident and that they didn't need to worry, so they could lift their heads. Chancellor Richard expressed his gratitude to Wilfred, and Wilfred mentioned that he wanted to move forward with the ceremony. However, when he looked at Alicia, he saw that she was trembling, and he thought that if this was how it began, they were in for a bumpy ride. He thinks Alicia is a pathetic girl, and because of royal politics, she had to live among commoners instead of being a child of the queen. He stared at her and asked if she was scared of him. Alicia was taken aback. She panicked and thought she had to say something. If Wilfred was the Grim Reaper from her past, saying the wrong thing might get her killed this time. She suddenly recalled her mom's advice from when she was little that she shouldn't let her emotions dictate her choices. Her mother called her a scaredy cat, but she explained that there are two kinds of scary people. There are genuinely nice ones, and then there's the devil who approaches with a friendly smile and a sweet voice. However, truly kind people can sometimes have unexpectedly serious expressions, just like the boy with black wings who rescued them and her stepfather. If Alicia learned how to tell the difference, she will find happiness and won't have to be scared anymore. Just take a good look at the person to see who you are talking to. She glanced at Wilfred and said sorry that she lost her composure. Wilfred looked back at her, and it seemed like he scared people without even trying. He noticed that even though Alicia was smiling, her hands were shaking, and it's always been like that even with other people. He thought that she might have heard a lot about him, and her reactions were normal, so she didn't need to worry. Wilfred smiled, but there was a touch of sadness in his eyes. Alicia was in awe. She even asked herself what she's doing, and what kind of effect has he even had on her. Wilfred hasn't done anything wrong. He even helped her when she was about to fall, and yet here she was panicking. Wilfred believes that if he could, he would send her back to her family, but this marriage is crucial for the future of the whole nation as he gazes at Alicia. Her absence from public view is convenient, yet the official connection between Windsor and Barroway is what truly counts. He called Cedric and informed him that it appears the princess is unwell and unfortunately, they will have to cancel the wedding ceremony. Alicia was surprised by what she heard. She tried to get their attention, and Wilfred looked back at her, asking what was wrong. She panicked again when she saw his eyes, but she reminds herself that girls need courage, and even if he is the Grim Reaper, he still saved her. She told herself she wasn't scared, and that now was the time to be strong. She assured Wilfred that she was fine now without showing any fear, and asked him to continue with the ceremony, which shocked Wilfred. They entered the hall together, walking side by side, and people inside welcomed them. Alicia even waved at everyone. They stood in front of the altar as the ceremony continued. Wilfred found it amusing because no woman he had ever met looked at him like that before. Usually, they were scared like Alicia had been earlier or tried to flatter him to gain his power. It was always one of those two reactions, so this caught him off guard a bit. It felt new to him, and Wilfred finds her bride Alicia beautiful as he lifted her veil and kissed her on the top of her head. After the ceremony, Alicia somehow made it through, but now she's in a room, her mind wondering if they are actually going to do honeymoon things. Since that's part of being a husband and wife, she started imagining what could happen tonight. She felt nervous thinking about what was coming. Alicia's not mentally prepared. She doesn't even have a boyfriend, and if it's wedding night, it means something else. The door swung open suddenly, and as he called out Alicia's name, Wilfred walked into the room wearing his robe. Alicia felt nervous as she looked at him, but Wilfred reassured her not to be scared because he didn't plan to do anything, and he sat down on the couch. Alicia glanced at him and saw Wilfred's strange smile again. She found the courage to ask him if it was really okay when he said he didn't intend to do anything. She remembered the maid telling her that tomorrow night they would check the bed sheets for blood. Any child born after that must be verified against the princess's chastity exam to confirm the child carries Wilfred's bloodline. This shocked Alicia. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. But it's a common custom among aristocrats who value lineage. Alicia shared everything with Wilfred, and even though it was frightening, she promised to do her best. If it was something that had to happen, she would endure it. But Wilfred never really intended to do anything in the first place, and Alicia wondered why. She asked him if it was because Sarah was too afraid, but he told her that it had nothing to do with that. She saw that all the women at the ceremony today were full of life and beautiful, while she felt like just a plain girl. She thought it might be because she wasn't his type, but he said that wasn't true. He found her somewhat pretty, but he wouldn't call her a great beauty. Alicia felt upset when he said reasonably pretty, but the look he gave her showed he was being truthful. Wilfred went on to say that there was something important he needed to share with her. Alicia became curious when she saw the serious expression on his face. He told her that he didn't plan on having any kids with her, and he knew that made him a bad husband. He apologized for that in advance and bowed his head. Alicia felt a wave of panic. She urged him to lift his head, but Wilfred replied that what he had told her should have been said before their marriage. He claimed that telling her now was almost like breaking a contract, but the alliance with Ba was crucial for his nation, and their marriage had to take place. Alicia shook her head, still in a state of panic. She understood and accepted the situation, asking him once more to raise his head. But he told her he hadn't even explained why yet. Still, she insisted that she didn't need to know and that she forgave him anyway. She was still panicking because she was just a commoner until recently, and now a king was bowing his head to her. Her heart couldn't handle it. Wilfred finally lifted his head, and Alicia could finally feel at ease. He complimented her on having a really generous heart. But out of curiosity, she asked that kings are meant to have children, right? He looked bothered by that question, which shocked Alicia quite a bit. He thinks that if she wants her kid to be a king, she must be out of her mind. To him, no one in their right mind would want their child to live a life like his. 9 years ago, a war broke out with their neighbor Amal, and he was sent to the front lines because he carried royal blood, and he was just a sacrificial symbol to boost morale. He fought and fought and fought, but many lives were lost, and they scraped out a victory in the end. The cursed blood dragged him into yet another storm of chaos. Cedric told him that the kingdom won't survive like that, and the one only person who can do something is Wilfred. And so, he ended up having to kill his own half-brother. And that blood only brought him nothing but pointless battles. All that was left was an empty throne, and he would never, even in his dreams, want to pass this on to his child. He told her that people who want to make their kids into kings are everywhere. They will kill their own family without any hesitation, but Wilfred refused to let his own child kill and be killed over a throne. Alicia recalled what Chancellor Richard had told her. Wilfred was attacked many times by his own family. In the end, he took the throne by killing his half-brother. She might be royalty too, but the idea of killing her own siblings is unimaginable, and she would never do that. She finally understood why he wouldn't have any children. He truly feels sorry for her. He knows it won't be easy, but he hopes she can accept it. He promises to do everything he can to make up for it, asking her sincerely. He bows his head again, and she seems flustered by his gesture. But she tells him that she doesn't mind at all. He can finally let out a sigh of relief. But Alicia wondered about the next king. Luckily, Wilfred has a younger brother. His brother might be a bit unreliable, but with someone like Cedric supporting him, it should work out. She sees Wilfred as a man who became king, but doesn't feel connected to the throne. She spoke, making him look at her, and mentioned that she heard he took the throne by force, carried out purges one after another, and became feared. But she wants to know why he accepted being the king of the country. Wilfred stared at her while pouring a glass of alcohol. She went on to say that even though he clearly disliked it, he didn't really want the crown, and that is understandable. He interrupted her, saying that the country was already in bad shape, trapped by over 1,000 years of traditions and problems. No one could take bold actions, and corruption was everywhere, leading to decline being unavoidable. The last 2 rulers only indulged in luxury and dragged the nation down. He understood that the people were putting their hopes in him, and everyone wanted change. But there was no one else to turn to, and that was all there was to it. Alicia looked at him in wonder, knowing that it was clear he never chose this out of desire. Even if he was disliked by the public, if it brought joy to the people living there, he was only doing it because he had to, viewing it as something he must face. It was a weight he had to carry. As she observed Wilfred gazing out the window with pity, she believes that Wilfred is not afraid to let go the lesser for the greater good, and he likely carries that ruthless kind of resolve. But that's not all there is to him. As she gazed at him, Wilfred was staring out the window, and Alicia smiled at him while moving closer, closing the gap between them. Wilfred seemed surprised by her action as they locked eyes. Alicia then asked him, despite what people said, if he was actually a really kind person. Wilfred looked at her, surprised. He seems really confused, and Alicia thinks he just has this intense look and vibe that makes him super scary. His way of talking is really blunt and awkward, which makes it hard to get what he means. But deep down, he's definitely a genuine and sincere person who cares a lot about others, a truly kind person. Wilfred looked at her and suddenly started laughing, covering his mouth as he did. Alicia freaked out, worried that she might have said something totally wrong because she doesn't understand the palace rules. Wilfred kept laughing and apologized, saying he just never thought anyone would call him kind. She pouted and insisted that he really is a kind person and that she didn't say anything weird. He disagreed, thinking it was strange because it's the first time in his life someone has said that to him. Usually, people say he's cold or heartless. She told him that those people just don't see him for who he really is, looking at him with pity. She knows Wilfred works hard for everyone, but no one gets him. They just find him scary, which is really sad. She wants to be the one who understands him, to see past his awkwardness and hard-to-read kindness. She can't say she loves him, not even by mistake, because she doesn't think he loves her either. At first, she was so scared of him, so she probably doesn't deserve to feel that way now. But even so, she's already his wife and smiled while looking at him. His face seemed much brighter as he held his drink and looked outside. He told her that he still thinks her view is a bit odd. But Alicia didn't mind. It's just her personal opinion. He thought that was fair enough. At first, he was worried. But now he feels really happy that she became his wife, which surprised Alicia. She blushed a little from what she heard. He jokingly said that whether she likes it or not, they will be together for a long time, and it's better to be liked than not. This left Alicia speechless and confused. He really thinks practically, but he doesn't understand women at all. Out of all the things he could say, he chose to say like it or not, when there are nicer ways to express things. In contrast, the castle is bustling with nobles enjoying a dance in the hall. Inside a room, a group of men were smoking and having a discussion. One man spoke about the distribution of the land to the nobles and commoners, 4 for the lords and 6 for the people, while another man questioned how anyone could rule land with such arrangements. The old man standing said they would be doomed at that point, and not following the rules would lead to even the Marquis of Sussex was banished, and they believe Wilfred is heartless. One man was upset, feeling that Wilfred doesn't realize how many hundreds of years they've served the Windsor royal family. He thinks Wilfred doesn't understand that the king exists because of them. They heard the wedding ceremony was really fancy. They said Wilfred doesn't care about the suffering of their vassals and is living in luxury all by himself. They find it totally disgraceful that he enjoys life without knowing the struggles his vassals face. They believe Wilfred isn't fit to be king and should give up the throne right away. They all agree but aren't sure what to do. They've already sent various women, but Wilfred shows no interest, and every assassin they sent gets killed. Now he's married to the Princess of Bowe, which only strengthens his rule, and even political pressure doesn't work anymore. They can't win a direct fight, even if they have more people, because Wilfred is incredibly strong in battle. Even with more troops, there's a weakness, another mysterious man said, but it's also his big flaw. If they hit there, Wilfred might fall apart. Wilfred doesn't understand human feelings, and all his rushed changes over the years have caused problems all over the kingdom. Something will trigger a collapse from within. A devilish aura surrounds that man, and he said the preparations are already set up. Back at the castle, Wilfred introduced Alicia to Cedric and the other palace workers as his wife. Alicia felt really nervous when she met them, stumbling over her words as she tried to make friends. She realized she had messed up right from the beginning and felt embarrassed for screwing up again. Cedric cleared his throat to introduce himself as the chief secretary. Alicia looked over at Cedric and thought that even though he is a man, he is really gorgeous, even at the ceremony. Wilfred told her that Cedric is his right-hand man, and if she needs help, she can always go to Cedric. Alicia suddenly smiled brightly, saying she had heard about Cedric's reputation, which made everyone go silent. A sudden burst of laughter interrupted the silence. Wilfred and Cedric were laughing together, trying to hold it in but failing because they found Alicia funny. Alicia felt somewhat embarrassed. Wilfred felt like that ever since Wilfred met her. He had been laughing more as he teased her. Still feeling shy, Alicia jokingly apologized for being a clumsy wife, but there was no need to say sorry, since he meant it as a compliment, and he loved the idea of a home filled with laughter. Alicia felt annoyed by their teasing because they were the only ones laughing at her, and it felt one-sided. But Wilfred kept teasing her, saying he would never get bored with her around. Feeling sulky and irritated, Alicia suddenly realized that maybe he was warming up to her after all. Cedric looked surprised by how close they had become, noticing that they really connected in just one day. Alicia felt a bit sorry for them for making her worry again, but Wilfred explained that it was Alicia's personality that brought them closer. Alicia gave him a suspicious look, determined not to fall for his tricks again. Wilfred looked at her, curious about what tricks she meant, and she told him he was just trying to tease her and being mean. But he genuinely didn't understand what she was talking about, insisting he was just praising her. Cedric watched their playful argument unfold before him. He had known Wilfred for a long time, and seeing him casually talk to a woman like this was new. He smiled as he watched them interact. After talking to Cedric, Alicia and Wilfred strolled around the palace when someone called out to Wilfred, referring to him as brother. Wilfred was thinking about visiting him later, but he still introduced his wife, Alicia, to him. Alicia gave him a quick look as he introduced himself as Richard Ackertain Windsor, who is Wilfred's younger brother.